Hello friends, and welcome to my home. I want to continue from my last talk and show you how you can welcome yourself into your own home, not your physical surroundings, but this home inside your true home, where you can find contentment and happiness within, not looking outside, looking inside. So we don't have to go far. We don't have to travel all over the world to far away countries. We don't have to live in the forest or the jungle. Excuse me just one moment. It's rather hot, so I had the fan on, but it will certainly interfere with my eyes and my voice if it continues whilst I talk. We don't have to go all over the place seeking a teacher, seeking a community. If we have a teacher, if we have a community, then that is wonderful. It is a bonus. But our true home, and there is a song about this, I think, that home is where the heart is. So our true home is, yes, where the heart is. Not our physical beating heart, the organ, the pump that moves blood around our bodies, but this kind of ethereal, hard to describe mind, heart mind, the not thinking brain, not physical body, somewhere in between, that doesn't really exist, doesn't really live, but continues. That we call that knows. In the Pali language, our citta. But this isn't the subject matter today. I want to continue from where I left off. I didn't tell you how we get to this home. When I use the analogy of the tortoise with its head and two arms, 2 legs or 4 legs, representative of the 5 senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching, and then our thinking minds with all of its procrastination, rumination, thinking from one thing to another in a continuous chain of thoughts. This is how we feel we are. This is from where we derive all experience, all that we call in Pali again sankhara, mental formations. So everything we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, feel, and even think about is a mental formation we call sankhara. So to some extent, not so real. Of course it's evident, it's there, and these are all warning signs or signs to guide us in the direction of pleasure or away from the experience of pain through our lives, successfully and healthily. But this isn't necessarily where we need to hook up and become dependent with our emotions upon. And that is how you find your true refuge. You're abiding within this home inside. If you go back to the previous talk on the 12 steps of dependent origination, or 12 links, I describe this mental activity, how we experience this seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and treat it in our minds, developing liking, not liking, loving, hating, wanting, not wanting, going towards, running away, all of these activities of body, speech and mind, which really become us. All of the causes and conditions that surround us and all of the causes and conditions we experience throughout our lives are mostly our own responsibility through our own karma. Karma just means actions. And the Buddha puts a little morality attached to that in saying it's actions of body, speech and mind, meaning good actions of body, speech and mind will lead us to a good place, whereas bad actions of body, speech and mind will inevitably lead us to bad results. Through this practice of sila, keeping moral virtues, so therefore being good, and through practicing meditation, we develop wholesome mental mind states, wisdom. To know this, to know and understand the principle of karma, simply that doing good leads to good things, whereas doing bad will lead to unfortunate events occurring. We also learn through wisdom, developing wisdom, and if you listen to previous talks, I explain it over and over again, that all things are impermanent, unsatisfactory, and out of our control. Now, of course, this does include also the homes we live in, not just because of their physical structure, but because we may ourselves need to move. Our circumstances may change. Our family situation may alter. Our career paths may go in a different way. Anything can happen. Health, sickness, and eventually death. So all things with regards to this physical understanding of our abiding, our place where we live, our home, are by that very nature of existence, anicca, the Pali word for impermanence, are impermanent. And because of that are dukkha, suffering, the Pali word dukkha, suffering, unsatisfactory. And of course, anatta, often translated as not self, can be described as not within our control, not ultimately. We may feel we have all control over all things, happily working away, paying our mortgage, but one day we may lose our job or have an accident and be unable to do our job, unable to pay our mortgage and find ourselves looking for somewhere different to live, a different location, maybe something a lot smaller, or our fortunes could go in another direction and we win the lottery and we find ourselves in a very big place. But what actually is moving from place to place, and as a nomadic monk really, which is what I am, this is in fact the longest I've spent in any one place, I think, for a very long time. I did spend 3 full years on the beach in England, but that was half the year I was here in Thailand through that time, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, only in 2 places, so that was pretty committed for me. But here, I've been here for nearly 6 months, in literally this one place. I've moved kuti only, which is our little hut, our home. This one I'm in now is deeper into the forest. These are our understandings of home. But how do we find this true home inside? Now, it isn't quite like this tortoise. When the tortoise is experiencing fear, for instance, it brings its arms and legs and its little head inside for the protection of its shell. Now, we are not running away. Even as monks, we're not running away from the outside world by going and living alone in a forest. In fact, all of our problems we bring with us into what is a crucible, a melting pot, a very, very hot bowl, if you like, and we put all of our mental defilements of greed, hatred, delusion, our emotions about the past, our concerns about the future. I'm going to have to put that fan back on again. It's extremely hot without it. I hope it's not too noisy for you. Literally melting in this melting pot here in the forest. But we bring all of those with us, So wherever you run away to, it doesn't matter. You can go to a beautiful tropical island, not like this. You can go to a tropical island with a bar, playing music, and having a nice restaurant and a hotel. Not too far from here is a wonderful resort of that nature. You know, one could go there and have a very pleasant time sensually. But still, all of those problems you take with you, all of your baggage you take with you, it doesn't help you with the letting go of that baggage by moving around, trying to run away. So what monks are doing is we're putting ourselves, okay, by choice, but in an environment whereby we really have to focus on them, because they are magnified. You have nothing to do and nothing to distract yourself from them. So if you're feeling a little bit sad, you can only feel sad. You can't put the television on, listen to some music, go and get something from the fridge, order a pizza, or really even ring someone up and have a chat. Here I can't. I haven't spoken to anyone for since I got here, because nobody speaks English. So I speak once a week to my mother. Well, I mainly listen. But in terms of everyday conversation, even if you speak Thai, it wouldn't make any difference. Monks don't just chit-chat all day long. We stay alone in our hut. After we've eaten, we come to our huts and we meditate. Around 2 o'clock, we'll do some sweeping for an hour, and then the evenings or the afternoon, some chanting. But there's no conversation, only about what's necessary, and that's usually just shortly after the meal, if something needs to be said. And it's said quickly and it's done. So we come here to practice our meditation, but to see those defilements without the distraction of the outside world. So we're not running away from our problems, we're facing up to them. Now, the advantage of being a lay person is that, so the advantage of that for a monk is that he just practices meditation, and hopefully he fights these kilesas, this is the word for those defilements of greed, hatred and delusion, and eventually wins this battle against them and finds contentment, satisfaction, or in fact freedom from suffering in this lifetime. But that's a very lofty, high achievement. But we strive on daily, moment to moment, with this goal in mind. Not so much of a goal, but an attainment that we know, step by step, from gradually eradicating those defilements, we can, and it has been done, achieve within this lifetime. Everything's provided for us simply, but it's provided: food, clothing, shelter and medicine. So nothing for us to do other than watch the mind. But of course that has its disadvantages for people who are used to an ordinary life whereby you have other forms of distraction and entertainment, and there's nothing wrong, nothing immoral with any of those things. In fact, they're perfectly and very healthy, a lot of them. Sports, for instance, listening to music is very pleasurable and good for the mind and calming the soul, very good for uplifting the mood, watching some entertainment, even documentaries are educational and things like that. There's all sorts of wonderful things you can do in lay life, but we just concentrate on the one thing. So yeah, like the tortoise, we're not going into a shell in that respect, because we're really taking the shell away and exposing ourselves to the elements of our defilements, because the biggest temptation is to just walk away. We don't take a lifetime vow or anything like that. We can just go, I could just go tomorrow and go and stay in the resort up the road, but this isn't our purpose, and this is not a desire. You wouldn't be here if that was. You would have just gone there and then gone back to work and carried on working for 50 weeks and then gone there for another 2 weeks in 50 weeks time. You know, this is what people do in samsara, that circle of life. But what you can do, and this does require these three things. On the same method, the same practicing method as monastics, as monks, as nuns, but incorporated into lay life, you develop, you keep sila, you keep moral virtue, so you don't kill, steal, sexual misconduct, lie, or take intoxicants. That's the simple rules of Buddhism. This practice doesn't work without keeping them, so that's it. I mean, I'm afraid that's the entry requirements to this wonderful club. You just don't do it. You don't have to do anything especially good. Go out of your way to help the world, save the world from global warming, or save the whale, or anything like that. You don't have to do any of this stuff. It's great if you can. But all we're asking is that, or all the Buddha suggested, is that you just don't. You refrain from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and taking intoxicants. So it's something you don't have to do. So it eases things up a little bit, because those things require a lot of effort, usually a lot of money, a lot of thinking, a lot of worry, really. So this is a good reason to let go of anything that is associated with wrongdoing. You're then freed up by way of, when I say freed up, your conscience is free. Your conscience is free. And when you sit to meditate, you can become calm in your mind just by allowing it to settle. It will eventually calm, and your body, allowing it to settle, it will eventually relax. If you're not all tensed and worried about getting caught for doing this or found out about that, if you've just only done or refrained from doing any bad things, you generally are at ease. So it makes sense, doesn't it? And this whole process of keeping these moral virtues that we call sila, through meditation, which we call samadhi, is a way then to develop wholesome mind states and wisdom. But in sitting and just with investigation, firstly perhaps through reflection, as to how your mind is thinking and reacting to what it's seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, so its surroundings, the environment you're in. By being able to observe this through training, through practice, it doesn't come all at once, but the more you meditate, the more able you are. It is possible to put a little gap between those that sensory contact and your reaction. So by simply sitting in meditation, you're not fully just closing all of the sense doors and bringing, like the tortoise, your head and arms and legs into the shell to ignore everything. You're looking to find where it's happening. Because where is it happening? Firstly, if we want to find happiness, we need to know where to look, don't we? Well, it's not out there. You won't see it out there, hear it out there, smell it out there, taste it out there. You can't feel it, and you can't even think about happiness. It's not there. However far you can go to the ends of the world and back and to the moon. You're not going to find happiness there. You will find it through or as a result of contentment, which also is not out there, it's in here. Inside, and I'll explain. But also, where is suffering? Where is grief, misery, lamentation, despair, depression? Where is that? Is it out there? Is it the heat? Is it the cold? Is it the mosquitoes? Is it the snakes? Is it the dark? Is it the rain? No. That too is in here. All of those things, whether it's for pleasure or for pain, are just sensory perception and sankhara, mental formations as a result of that sensory perception. Inside, and when I say in here, I'm not talking about in our physical hearts or thinking brains, that heart-mind, if you like, cross between the two, that little grey area. We call it, it's very easy, because it's the Pali word for it is citta, C-I-T-T-A. that which knows. In Thai they call puru. But that which knows is knowing suffering, is also knowing the opposite of dukkha is sukha, happiness, joy, pleasure. It's knowing that. And it's knowing it from the internal perspective, because this is where our reactions occur, inside, in our minds. So if things outside are, let's take mosquitoes. There are lots of mosquitoes, let's say. There aren't today so many, but sometimes after the rain there can be a lot of mosquitoes, whether every time in the evening. And one can get very disturbed about this, because you to some extent get used to it, but it can be something that can bother you. But when you know it's not all of the time, and it's just part of living in the forest, but the primary thing is it's not permanent, because everything is impermanent. Pleasure is impermanent, pain is impermanent. When you know that, it's less bothersome, so you react less. You don't ignore what needs to be done to perhaps prevent something. I mean, I have a little mosquito coil usually burning in the corner when there's mosquitoes around, or use the fan, but there are still going to be mosquitoes. But you don't need to suffer twice. You know that that's the situation, and you say, well, this is suffering. You observe it for what it is. It's sensory contact, usually feeling or even hearing when they're going zzz around your ear. It's knowing that, and knowing that that is impermanent, an impermanent state, that makes you realise it's not so bad. But if you just get all hot and bothered about it and try swatting them, then you've broken precepts. You've killed one, you've killed it, a living being, and that is bad. You should never do this. And there's no need. I mean, you can't kill them all, can you, anyway? So what's the point of killing one? Even if you kill them all, something would replace your suffering. You'd just be a mass killer, creating lots of bad karma for yourself, and a very unhappy person. But when you learn this is just an impermanent situation, you don't start suffering so much. And we recognize that through meditation. And through the practice of meditation, coming inside, we can see then how suffering arises through sensory contact, through then mental formations and emotions. But then we can also see from the same perspective how pleasure arises, happiness, sukha, and delight through sensory contact, through external influences. So inside we have this crucible also, this melting pot of dukkha and sukha, two opposing things, suffering and pleasure. And it's inside, conflicting all of the time. But what we do is we take the battle outside and we say, right, okay, I've got mosquitoes, they're bothering me, so I'll stay in this hotel, shut all the windows and doors, open the minibar, put the air conditioning on, or that's a bit extreme, think of something else. I'm feeling a little bit bored, I'll go to the fridge and I'll eat some snacky foods and drink some fizzy drinks. It's unnecessary. You're just not being stimulated at the moment. So you're trying to distract yourself from lack of stimulation by stimulation that you think will bring you pleasure. This is going outside. If you simply sit in meditation and bring your mind to a single meditation object, like the breath, in just 1 or 2 moments with practice, this desire, this need, this craving will go away to go to the fridge or to go to a hotel, and you'll be free from the suffering of the boredom or the mosquitoes. It's just that, just bringing your attention inside to the breath, because this is in the body. It's bringing your awareness, your conscious awareness, to within the body, away from external influences. If you can close your eyes, the better. If you're in a noisy environment, it's okay even here. It's noisy. You can probably hear the birds and the things, jungle creatures. It's louder in the night. But you can bring your mind to a meditation object like a mantra or a word, or just listen to the sounds and find the silence, the gap between the sounds. But bring that internally, witnessing it, seeing it, observing it, and noticing how you're feeling, how your emotions are building and subsiding. And notice the sankhara, notice the mental formations you create that come along. Oh, well, that must mean I hear this sound, that must mean this is going to happen, and I ought to be doing this about that. And bring it back. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. Unless you're scheduled for that, stay with the breath. Stay with this moment here, stay with it now. Not worrying about thinking about the past and not worrying about the future in this present moment. And this is where we can abide. This is our true home, where we can find true contentment. But like all good, comfortable homes, not this one, because you'll see I don't have any soft furnishings or any flat screen TVs, anything like this, not even any cushions. In this home, it's not necessary in this physical home. Because in my internal home, and you too in your internal home, can furnish it with the soft furnishings of what we call the Brahma Viharas. Now, Brahma Viharas means heavenly realms. Vihara meaning home, realm, refuge. A place where monks live in India is called a Vihara. And lay people can stay there too. But the Brahmas are the godly people of Indian folklore and cosmology, and also in Buddhism, Buddhist cosmology. So a home fit for the gods. So the 4 Brahma Viharas are our 4 sets of soft furnishings, or entertainment if you like, that we bring into this internal home, this Vihara, this refuge, this shelter, to make it comfortable, to make it enjoyable, and also to give us something to do there. So they are, firstly, we call it in Pali metta. Metta. This word means loving kindness. And we start by, in meditation, just thinking about ourselves in a way that is full of loving kindness. No hearts and flowers, just like a mother loves its child unconditionally, but towards yourself. That's not strange, it's not egotistical, it's none of these things. Just appreciate what you are in a simple way. The good that you do, the good that you have done, or the good you intend to do. And then slowly but surely extend that loving kindness to those further afield. You're not emanating, you're not radiating. I know there is a practice, as commonly practiced, of metta bhavana, developing loving kindness in meditation. And this you can also do. But I'm not talking about that now. I'm talking about just establishing metta within yourself in order to furnish your home, your vihara, your refuge. You can, by way of bringing this naturally towards yourself, this feeling of loving kindness, invite all of your friends, all of your family, even the people you are not so close to, and even eventually your enemies, into your home. And not only does this make you feel good because you're feeling and being hospitable, it will change you in other people's perception of you. And this way you are in reality giving metta without radiating, extending, emanating anything mentally or physically. By simply changing yourself towards an air of loving kindness, others will change also around you in the same direction. You will see, and you will see the benefits are enormous. This is the first of those. There are 4 of these Brahma Viharas. Metta, loving kindness. Then there is karuna, which is compassion. And again, firstly, you must have compassion for yourself. So in meditation, be compassionate. Don't put yourself through grueling exercises of pain in terms of your posture, but take instruction. There is some guidance on this channel, but take instruction as to how to try and sit properly. When I say properly, but in a way that you can maintain the same posture for a length of time sufficient to have an effective meditation and the opportunity to develop focused attention on a mind and on a meditation object, which we call samadhi. Not concentration, focus, like a pair of binoculars, but focus so that you can see all of the things in the distance in great detail. Not like a laser beam, focusing concentration on one spot. But also so that your meditation object comes into clear focus and you can keep your attention, your conscious awareness on that. And for this you deserve to treat yourself with some compassion, karuna, but then also all other beings. Likewise, with the same principle as metta. Not at this stage as a meditation, radiating it, emanating it, trying to transmit it, just build it up within yourself. Others will then appreciate it. You see a beautiful flower as a beautiful flower with a beautiful fragrance. People go to the flower and they see the beautiful flower and they smell the beautiful fragrance. It isn't sending that all around the world. People come to it because they know. And this is a way of, in reality, of this beauty, this fragrance being given out to others. And this is the same for metta and karuna. And then there's the third, which is mudita, which is joy for others, or empathetic joy. So this is the opposite of jealousy. So when someone has good fortune, then you feel happy for them. Don't force yourself to feel happy for them, but see the benefits in their good fortune. Think about it and realize that yes, it is a good thing. They may have got something you wanted, but see the upside of it. If it's the promotion that you didn't get, maybe you weren't quite ready for it. At least you can now relax for a while until the next opportunity comes along, but you can still be happy for them. Now remember, I'm not talking about these Brahma Viharas today. I'm talking about how we're furnishing our home inside, our home of refuge, our place to go when times get tough. So finally is upekkha, equanimity. And this is the beauty of this practice of going inside, coming home. Not only with our meditation, but with every breath. Think of it as coming home. You know that feeling after a very tough day when you've finished everything and you eventually get home and you put down the shopping or your work bags and you sit down. I'm home at last. Or after a long journey, I'm home at last. With every breath you can feel that if you've established these 4 Brahma Viharas. And this can be done in every moment of the day, with every breath in. Or you can take a minute or 2 out of your day and just sit. You can do this at your desk, or even leaning on your shovel if you're digging holes on a building site, whatever your job is. Not perhaps if you're a brain surgeon or you're the dentist drilling some teeth at that moment, but mostly we get the opportunity at the coffee machine, or even when we go to use the restroom, good name for it, restroom, but toilet. Just sit, close your eyes for a moment or two and breathe in, and think of this refuge, this home inside, furnished with loving kindness, softness, cushions, with karuna, compassion, nice refreshments and drinks, think of it that way, with mudita, joy for others, so lots of joy and happiness and flashing lights and balloons and decorations and fireworks. And then equanimity, upekkha. Now equanimity is the ability to just not react instantly to everything you experience, to react less. Now, things we have to react to, we must react to. But if you give yourself a few seconds to think, you'll react in the right way. Now, developing equanimity is one of the 7 factors of enlightenment, is so very important, not just for that reason, but this is where you get the benefit of retreating, like the tortoise inside. You're not going in to hide, like the tortoise, or like the person running to a cave and blocking it up from the dinosaurs. No, you are going inside to develop something, develop the tools, develop the wisdom and the ability to then face all of your experiences thereafter more effectively, but most importantly, equanimously. So by just taking a breath in a couple of moments, as you have, whenever you get the opportunity to, and just breathing out, you can just say to yourself whatever you like, really. You can just say, may I be happy, may I be well, may others be happy, may I be well, or just think nothing. We say Buddho. Buddho is a kind of a Thai Forest tradition monk thing. We're just saying the name of the Buddha. In all circumstances it's appropriate. It's reminding us of the qualities of the Buddha, the 9 qualities we chant in the chanting, which are so important to us because, of course, the Buddha is our teacher. And your teacher should not be someone who's achieved a great deal, say like your boss. It should be someone that you want to be like. You don't have to just like them. Actually, you might not even necessarily like them, but you feel that they are something you aspire to. They're a good example. They're practicing what they preach. And the Buddha is, of course, all of this. So we just use this one word, Buddho. And it says all of that in 2 syllables, because we say it so often. And you can do the same. It works. It works very well. So our true home is inside, and it's not to run away. It's to examine, it's to think, it's to develop. It's to understand, to see. And it's there, through this meditation, samadhi, we develop the quality of vipassana. You see, vipassana is used as a term of meditation, a way to describe a method of meditation, but it actually means to see clearly. And by looking inside, we can understand how our emotions arise as a result of sense contact through external conditions, and we can learn to see how they then hang around a bit and then go away again. we can see how physical feelings are also impermanent. And we can learn all of this from just within this body, inside, without going anywhere. Even with our eyes closed and not listening to anything. It's all, as the Buddha said, within this fathom-length body. There are the answers to the entire universe, the whole entire universal structure, and what we need to understand to live in harmony with the universe and in a state of contentment and therefore happiness is all within this bag of skin and bones, this physical body. We've got all of the answers and this thinking brain. By just guarding those sense doors, windows, and bringing our conscious awareness inside and bringing the focus onto positivity, to good things. So positively navigating our attention always in a good direction, towards loving kindness, towards compassion, towards joy for others. We establish equanimity. So by this process, and this can be done in a very short time, in the restroom, at the coffee machine, leaning on your spade, or just sitting at your computer. Close your eyes for a moment, the boss won't see you. Breathe in and feel the compassion and the joy and the loving kindness, and establish some equanimity. You can do that in one breath. No one will begrudge you that time. So there's always time to meditate like this. It's just that. So this is our true home. Then whatever happens, wherever you go, end up. I'm never certain as to where I'll be next. I'm pretty certain I'll be here for the Vasa, the next 3 months after the Vasa begins, which is late this year, so that's not until August. I'm pretty sure I'll be staying here for that 3 months. I have been asked to go other places, but I've said that I'm expected here. But I'm not 100% sure, because this is not a specific conversation I've had. Although they have sorted my visa out, so they wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't think, if they weren't expecting me to stay. So it's fairly certain. But I might get ill, I might die. All of these things can happen. But this doesn't matter. Wherever I end up, these qualities of loving kindness, compassion, joy for others, and equanimity go with me. So, like with all of the emotions and the problems of the past and the worries of the future that you take with you when you run away, going to different places, thinking that it'll all be better if you get there and grass is always greener on the other side, like that, good, wholesome qualities go with you too. So say you're in a lovely place and you have to go to a horrible place, it doesn't matter, because you've got good qualities that are going with you. So if you're in a horrible place and you've got bad qualities and you think going to a lovely place will make a difference, it won't. You're taking the bad qualities with you. So that is why we say we develop wholesome mind states, reduce unwholesome mind states. Because if we have wholesome mind states, it doesn't matter where you are, what's happening, or even who you are. Because you are just wholesome mind states, contentment. And what is that? It is being free from greed, hatred, and delusion. Those root defilements, causes. Essentially, that is desire. Not good desire, bad desire. But desire is what leads us into suffering, the cause of suffering. And there is, though, an end of suffering, and that is that cessation of sensory experience, mental thinking, and desire. And that cannot be found out there, it can only be found in here. So, like a tortoise with its shell, or a snail with its shell on its back, we've always got our home with us. when we can truly realize it in that way and see it, experience it for ourselves in that way, it is the best and most comfortable retreat you can have. And no need to get on an aeroplane or even into a car or even walk anywhere. Wherever you are, it's with you. But it takes a little practice each and every day, some meditation in the morning before you do anything, just after you wake up, and some meditation at the end of the day before you go to sleep is enough. If you get the opportunity through the day to stop for a moment and just observe the breath and breathe in and breathe out, close your eyes, shut yourself off for a moment from all that's going on around you, it will just help the mind to settle and calm, the body to settle and relax. And slowly but surely you'll be building the foundations for equanimity, this factor of enlightenment, a very important quality of wholesome mind states. That is, being able to go through all of the vicissitudes of life, not without caring, but with compassion and caring, but unaffected badly by it. Just seeing things as they are seeing, hearing as they are hearing, and knowing that you always have this internal refuge to go to. So that is how we find this home within ourselves, through this practice based on sila, moral virtue, samadhi meditation, and this development of wholesome mind states. I hope that's useful, and if so, please use this and also share it with anyone you like. And thank you for watching.